So, Bojo, as known by the Brits, more popularly known as Boris Johnson, has resigned as Prime Minister. And yes, guys, I know I'm late to make a video about this, and that's because, as I say, I like to take my time to come to my conclusions so that there's some merit there, and I'm not just talking out of something I haven't really thought about. So today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about this because I was listening to the whole speech of like, I wish I could have seen this through to the end, blah, 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 blah. Like, he was chatting a lot of nonsense. And I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this because I have a few theories. I have a few thoughts, a few feelings about this situation. And that's because I spent a lot of my life in the UK. More than 15 years in the United Kingdom, which is crazy to think about based on like the history of the United Kingdom. Isn't that crazy? It's crazy. Anyway, and I'm very aware of British culture. Okay, let's just put it like that. And because I'm me, I'm always paying attention to everything because I'm curious. I like to learn, right? I like to research, right? Cool. And when I was listening to Boris Johnson's speech, I just felt like, first of all, it was the most British thing ever. Like, there was no acknowledgement of wrong, at least from what I heard. Maybe I didn't see the full enough clip, the this, the that, the other. So if I'm wrong, then I stand wrong and that's okay. But he kind of just tried to make it as though like, so because of the things that have happened, we're making the decision to blah, 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 which kind of takes us off of why we're making that decision, i.e. y'all broke your own guidelines that you were putting on everybody that was costing people money. And I'm meeting mums who are just about making it, their husband's sick, their kids they have to put into, after school clubs, blah, blah, blah. And then they can't do what they need to do because of the guidelines, but you, man, were drinking wine and having cheese. And do you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you, like, that's what you were doing. Like, that's what you were doing. So for them to just act like, oh, yes, it has been decided that the most logical next step going forward would be for us to hand over the senior leadership of the government over to another member of the Conservative Party. And that's just happening basically because there were discussions about things that have happened, and that's kind of the decision that we've come to. But all I want to really focus on is the fact that I wish I could have seen it out to the end. I delivered Brexit. I delivered, what else did he say he delivered? He was like, I delivered Brexit. I was the reason, like, we in the UK were the first to develop, to roll out the vaccine. We in the UK were the first to come out of this, like in Europe, and he's rolling all this stuff out. So it's kind of like, okay, so basically, you're telling us that wasn't smart. That wasn't smart. That's what he's saying to us. That wasn't smart because I did all this stuff that you guys are clearly not acknowledging. But at the same moment, he's completely ignoring why he was in this place. And it's like, bruh, but you are breaking the guidelines. The guidelines where people, and there was even a dude, I think in the UK, if I'm not mistaken, who kind of like, who had a party and he'd been fined like £10,000 GBP, and he was like, basically he tried to get that money back after this whole governmental shutdown thing. And I was like, this is something that I love. These are more things like I'd love to see in the UK, because that's the thing about, the Brits sometimes. I love you Brits, I love you Britain, oh Britannia, yes, but there's just a little bit more fire going on in the United States, I'm not gonna lie. And stuff like this where I'm like, the government just gets away with stuff, it just gets away with stuff. And that's why this resignation thing, I was like, how is it even possible for you to just step away? Like, when people go against the law, think about this, guys, and you see this in many governments. When a normal civilian steps against the law, you will be surprised. In the United Kingdom, you can go to prison, HMP, Her Majesty's prison, right? For doing a wheelie on a motorbike for 3 months. Yes, I met a woman once whose husband was in prison for that very reason. That's how I know. I'm not even suspecting. I've seen case in point exhibit A, right? However, Boris Johnson, him and the whole government have gone against the guidelines of what they've told us that we're allowed to do, right? They've been caught in 4K. Listen, Matt Hancock was even, obviously having an affair with his freaking assistant. They're both married, all of this stuff. Yeah, obviously that's slightly different because it's not so much like the law thing, but you get the gist. Like, when it came down to the guidelines, people are paying 10,000. You know, people are stressing because they can't, they don't have money, they lost their job, there's this happening all because of COVID, and you guys are drinking wine and eating cheese, like in the Buckingham Palace Gardens or something. Maybe not the Buckingham Palace Gardens, but you guys get what I mean. Somewhere fancy, somewhere posh, somewhere where civilians, normal civilians, cannot even afford to breathe the air in those areas, and that's why they get away with everything. Like, it's just off for me. It's off, and it just shows, like, it almost shows, and this is one thing I have to say, like, I'm really going into all of it today. I have to say this. As far as, like, the British government, I just don't see them as racist. And that's such a weird thing for me to say, but I'm going to explain why I feel like that way. And it's very simple. Because the same way the British government would treat me as, say, like a black person, or me as a woman, is the same way, let's say as a black person, let's make it about race, as a black person, it's the same way they would treat a white person. Like, they treat their own people so badly. So I'm like, and when I say my own people, obviously I didn't originate in the UK. I wasn't even born in the UK, so that's what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, like, but I've lived here long enough that it's like I am, and this is my accent. This wasn't the accent I had at birth, y'all. You wouldn't believe that. Some of you be like, oh, you're faking this accent, and you're doing this and you're doing that. It's like, babes, this wasn't even my initial accent, okay? So just stop being a hater, you know? Just chill. It's okay. It's all love here. But yeah, so I kind of have a feel for, like, just the whole thing, and I just found that really interesting, like, how he was able to just step away. Like, there was nothing else happening. There was no further punishment, but a normal person, a normal civilian individual could have their whole life completely turned upside down for having broken the same law. And you're just doing a little resignation where, like, let's be honest, Boris, like, I don't even think he had as lot, like, he's done a lot. It makes sense for him to step away anyway for himself. He probably wants to because he's been going at it. His wife's still having all these children. You know, he's got like 4 or 5 kids or something like that. It might even be like 6. Like, and he's having babies. I remember when he caught COVID and everyone was like, oh, he's caught COVID. He literally had a baby around the same time. Like, it's nuts. It's nuts, right? So he kind of would want to step away. They probably have somebody else they've groomed. And this is another thing. If you guys want to really hear about what I think the dark side of the government is trying to do right now, I will let you know, because I think that there's some power moves happening here and a little bit of fist fight going on between the Kingdom of Darkness and the Kingdom of Light, as far as, you know, the United Kingdom government. But that's just my analysis. That's just what I think. That's just based on what I've been seeing, kind of how I'm looking at it, because yeah, I feel like they were just too comfortable to let Boris go. It was almost like, yeah, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. Like, it's like they always have a plan of how, like, if it goes wrong, it going wrong still ends up going right for us somehow. Do you know what I mean? Like, they'd have the perfect person to replace him that just talks even more nonsense, that's just even more believable, who's just even more perfect. You know what I mean? And then we think that we've won because we've got this incredible person and we got rid of, you know, Bojo. When in reality, we've been given way worse and we're actually better off with Bojo, which is actually my fear, to be honest with you, because Boris Johnson, for all you say, homeboy's out here, used to be out here on his bicycle, you know, like in London. Boris used to be out. That's why even in London, the little bikes that you can call, that you can pay for and use, like, to cycle around London, people call them the Boris bikes. I think that's why. It must be. I'm thinking it must be because we all knew Boris Johnson used to be out on his bicycle in London. So I'm like, even if he's for the Kingdom of Darkness, I'm like, I don't think you're really that level. You know what I mean? You're probably like, they probably need to switch in for whoever else. Anyways, I'm literally just telling you guys exactly what I think, because that is what my dedication to this channel is, which is I want to be real. I want to be honest, you know, and it's not always comfortable to be real and honest. It's not always nice to hear realness and honesty, especially in the world we live in, where so much of things are making us more and more sensitive. But I want to do my best to continue to share that, because we are human beings, and the sooner we can be understanding of each other as human beings, understanding the rights we have to being a human being, the better things will get. You know, the more we need to hear from each other's stories, because we all have different experiences. That's why I'm not even on none of this, oh, I'm this activist, I'm that activist. Listen, I'm like, I'm the activist for humankind, okay? That's the activist I'm for. And that's why I'm honest, to give you an opportunity to be honest as well yourself, to hear something that you don't normally hear in a way you don't normally hear it. Like, I'm still out here literally doing my videos in one take. Like, who does that? Who does that? That's what I'm literally doing, guys. And I'm literally sharing my thoughts with you. And I hope that well, there's a decent number of you who's already here, so I appreciate it. But hopefully that's something you guys enjoy, and I hope that there'll be more of that, because I honestly just want to hear what people really think. That's why I love these. When you guys in the comments, I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. Like, might be thinking like, oh, I don't want to message her that because whatever, and I'm like, I never thought about it like that. And I just have all these epiphanies reading the comments. And so yes, please do comment. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and hit the like button. This is what I have to say for today on Boris Johnson's resignation. If you got more to add to the story, please let me know. If you got an opinion, especially if you like don't live in the UK, have never lived in the UK, are looking from another place in the world, I especially would love to hear from you guys. Because one thing I was loving during lockdown and everything was watching Sky News Australia commenting on the UK. They were savage, and it was so funny just to hear like how the rest of the world was actually looking at what was going on there. So it's fun. I think we're all international now, right? We're all over the world watching different things. We might as well update each other on what's happening in our local area. Some of you guys do anyway. Anyways, I'm really going off topic. God bless every single one of you. Don't forget to check out my other videos. I have so many videos, guys. I've got over 500 videos. Can you imagine that? Like, what am I really talking about? No, I'm kidding. Other than that, guys, God bless you all, and I'll see you in my next one.